going to do the next, continuing on with the music theory lesson. So I guess this would be kind of number 4. I apologize for the bad lighting right now. My desk lamp just broke. It just broke right before I started filming this. So I have my room light, and I know my shadow is here. Hello. Hopefully that doesn't, it's still easy to read. So, in the last video, music theory lesson number 3, to put a link, you can watch that. We talked about rhythm or note values and time signatures. And building a major scale, and a bit about sharps and flats. Today, what we're going to be doing are intervals, which I briefly talk about in my ear training video. Oh good, you can kind of see what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to start with something simple, a C major scale in the treble clef. Well, I'll do one of each, but we'll start here. And I'm just going to do this in whole notes, just so we're just doing the pitches right now. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And let's go over the distances between these. The pattern for the scale is a whole tone, half step, whole tone, half step. And just a little refresher. Oh, I don't have a keyboard, so I have to draw it. Those are the 2 black keys. Here's a group of 3 black keys. And then another group of 2. Or I'll keep going. And then another group of 3. Ooh, this is kind of messy. Okay, that's enough. And then drawing keys around it. Okay, so this lowest note is C. Whole step means it skips a note in between. So C to D is a whole step. D to E is a whole step. E to F is a half step because there's nothing in between them. F to G is a whole step. G to A is a whole step. See, there's a black key in between. A to B is a whole step. And B to C is a half step because there's nothing in between them. So that's the general outline, but you can read or watch the other video if that's confusing, because I'm going to move on now. Okay, I'll draw the same scale in the bass clef. Let's make a grand staff. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Maybe I'll go up an octave too. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, middle C. Okay, we're going to use those as our guide for building some intervals. Just some simple. We'll start simple right now. Oh, I don't want to do a staff. Okay, so the first one will be a unison, or a 1, I guess. And let's start on C's. So that would be these 2 notes. They're exactly the same note, and I have to draw them beside each other. Imagine they're not in time. They're just all right on top of each other. Those notes are in unison because they are the same, or 1. If I had a C and a D beside each other, playing them at the same time, that's called a second. C. I'm going to draw a bunch of C's. Because I'm going to do these all from C for now. C to E is a third. C to F is a fourth. C to G is a fifth. C to A is a sixth. See the pattern? C to B is a seventh. C to C is an octave, or an eighth. These distances are easily measured if you're using your hand on the keyboard and you put one key on every, or one finger per key. 1 to 2, that's a second. 1 to 3, that's a third. 1 to 4, that's a fourth. 1 to 5 is a fifth. That makes it very easy. And then just stretching out to a sixth, stretching out to a seventh, and if you have big enough hands, you can reach an octave, C to C, and so on. Okay, I'll just do these now. In the bass clef, let's just make a little bass clef here. C to D, or C to C. We call that a perfect unison. So this is just the basic form, like the structure of intervals. We have unisons, seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and eighths, and octaves. They sort of have a quality. So we're going to go over some qualities in the major scale. Do you see how these are all the notes that are in the C major scale? So we have a perfect unison when the two notes are exactly the same, and we can only have a perfect unison. We can't have an imperfect unison. That doesn't exist. This second between C and D in the C major scale, those notes, they exist up here, remember, in that major scale? It's called the major second. Major scale, major second, easy. C to E, major third. C to E, it exists in the scale, there's no sharps or flats. Now, this is where it's a little bit different. C to F is a perfect fourth. Fourths are perfect. Oh, you can't see. A perfect fourth. And just like that, we also have a perfect fifth. It's perfect. Well, let's keep going. So another bass clef. So this paper is very messy, but we're just sketching. C to A is a major sixth. C to B is a major seventh. And C to C is a perfect unison. Oh, well, sorry. Octave. I just zoned out. So we have in the notes of a C major scale, if we stack them up, I know that we're using the notes of a C major scale because C is on the bottom, and whatever note is on the bottom of the interval determines what key it's in. Okay? Or, yeah, the quality. So if it starts on C going up, I'm only taking in consideration that these notes are in the C major scale because C is on the bottom. That's where we base all of these sort of ideas from. So let's go down here. I want to do this in G major, so I'm going to do a whole lot of intervals that start on G. G to G, G to A, G to B, G to C, to D, G to E, G to F, Do you remember what the accidental is in G major from the last video? There's an F sharp in G major. No, I'm not going to write it in yet because I want to see something. G to G in G major, perfect unison. G to A, major second. G to B, major third. G to C, perfect fourth. G to D, perfect fifth. G to E, major sixth. G to, oh, let's skip it. Hang on. G to G, perfect octave. Okay, G to F. G to F natural. Now, we know in G major, there has to be an F sharp. But if we didn't have a sharp, this would be a minor seventh. And if we put the F sharp in, then it's a major seventh. It's a major seventh because it has the accidental of that major scale. If it didn't have it, it would be a minor seventh. You follow? We're only going to worry about major intervals right now. That's just a little bit of something so that to give you more context for the major scales. Let's do one in the bass clef. And I'm going to do an F major scale, and I'll write in the accidental as well. So the accidental is a B flat. Okay, here we go. After F, to G, to A, F to B. So in F major there is a B flat. Perfect unison, major second, major third, perfect fourth. Now, what if I didn't, oh, sorry, you can't see. If I didn't have that flat, what happens? What's the opposite of a perfect fourth? Now, this is kind of complicated, but if I didn't have the flat there, what do flats do to notes? They squish them down. They bring them lower on the keyboard. They squish them down. So if you have two notes on the keyboard, this is going to be an abstract drawing. So I'm playing this note here, and I'm playing this note here, which is the flat of this note. When I play the flat, see how it's squishing? It's bringing this distance, but is shorter. If I didn't have that flat there, the distance is bigger. I'm making it bigger if I take away that flat. That note is the flat. This is the natural. And that's my bottom note, the F. So I'm making it bigger. I'm augmenting that interval when I take away that flat. Because it's perfect the way it is, and I'm augmenting it. So if I did not have that flat, that would be an augmented fourth. You cannot have a major or minor fourth. You can either have perfect, diminished, or augmented, and that's it. Let's go on. Perfect fifth, major sixth, major seventh, perfect octave. Now you can't really have a diminished or augmented octave or unison. They kind of are just what they are. Yeah, you can't really change them. You can augment the fourth or diminish the fifth. I guess you could augment them as well, but those are the ones where they don't have a major or minor. They're just perfect the way they are. And now I'm going to explain to you why. So you hopefully understand just the distances of notes. You can go and play that if you want, or just listen, check out the ear training video. But why are unisons, fourths and fifths, and octaves perfect? Let's take the string of a guitar. Maybe I should just have some white, or whatever. Okay. This is the string of a guitar. It's attached at this end, it's attached at this end. You pluck the string, and it makes a note. Let's say it makes a C. So you play that note. Now, you know how on a guitar, how they have these little frets? Well, let's kind of actually, never mind about that right now. Okay, you made your own guitar with an elastic band, or a string, or something. And you pluck it, and it makes a C. Now, cut it exactly in half. If you take away half of that now and you play this amount of string, it will also be a C, but it'll be an octave above the other C. So the octave, when we see it on paper like this, it's called perfect because of the perfect ratio of the note previous. It's exactly twice as high. The frequency is exactly doubled if you want to really think about that. So in hertz or whatever, I don't know what the hertz of a C would be. I don't know. I would have to look that up. I cannot remember. But let's say, I'm totally making this up. Let's say you had a C that was like 104. No, that totally is not even right at all. That would not be, wait, you know what, I don't know. Anyhow, like that. And then you doubled it. So you had one that was 208. That would be another C. It would be the same note, but up an octave because of that ratio. So that's where we get a perfect octave. I think you can probably figure out why unison is called perfect. Because it's the exact same note. Easy. Don't change anything. Okay, so that's exactly in half. Now, let's cut the string. Let's put it back together. Pretend like it's whole again. That's gone away. Well, I'll just draw another one. Try and make it the same size. Here's our note, that's a C. Now, let's kind of divide it into thirds. Thirds, they're always nice. And then, we're going to cut off a third of it. Whatever's left here, this note is going to be a G above C, which is a perfect fifth. Okay? And if you've taken physics in high school or whatever, this is a unit, and for me, I loved it. I was like, I understand this because I'm a musician. Okay, last we're gonna cut it in half. Imagine we're cutting it in half and then in quarters, and each of those in half. And then we're actually going to cut it here and take away 1/4 of it. This note is an F above C, which is a perfect fourth. Now do you see how this length is closer to the full length? A fourth, C to F, is closer than a C to G, but only by that much, that difference. You see? Now this length here, the fifth, to this length here, the octave above the other C, I'll draw you here a G to a C to a C, a C to a G to a C. This is the fifth, so the third, and then above it is a 1/4, so the difference between this note, if you were to cut that G into 4 and then cut off that 1/4, it equals this. So they are all related. I think it's close. close. It's very close. It should be close to that. Okay. I'm sure if I feel like that's, it's maybe not exact, but that is the note. For sure. You should try it out on a guitar, and you'll see how it works. It has to do with wavelengths and cutting them and splitting them up. I think that's all I had to say about that. So perfect fourths, perfect fifths, perfect octaves. Everything else is major or minor. But we just learned about major today, and next time we'll learn about minor. Take care.